Hello, welcome to Curry Girl Tech Talk. I am Krystal Curry. Thank you for joining. Are there aspects of your community that you would like to see automated? How about enabling community organizations using blockchain? Let's find out what happened to the city that was created on blockchain. I'm talking tech today about decentralized autonomous organizations. Decentralized autonomous organizations are actually one of my favorite aspects of Web3. It's my favorite because it combines two of my favorite topics, community and technology. Let's start out with a real example of a decentralized autonomous organization initiated completely on blockchain technology. CityDAO. CityDAO is a DAO that bought 40 acres of land in Cody, Wyoming in 2021. All right, here are some details about CityDAO. CityDAO land purchase was about $8 million. It was chosen due to its proximity to the airport, and it was undeveloped land that included a water well. They offered a basic form of citizenship for those who purchased into the DAO, which was then about 10,000 NFTs and about a quarter of Ethereum, approximately $1,000. Benefits included voting rights, the ability to settle into the land after the first founding citizens. But they were able to actually fund and form CityDAO as an experimental project to build a city of the future where everything is on blockchain, making the physical world decentralized, transparent, immutable, and permissionless. Implementation of this experiment was enabled by a law in the State of Wyoming that was passed legally recognizing DAOs as long as they are registered as companies in the state. And that is a key detail, which I will circle back to. So before we go into my thoughts about CityDAO, I also want to mention that a group of tech billionaires were set to build their own city under the name California Forever, which enabled a walkable, affordable community in Solano County between Sacramento and the San Francisco Bay Area. The CEO of California Forever has decided to pull the initiative from the ballot this past November, and at least for now, as they had anticipated an unfavorable vote. All right, I want to discuss my opinion about CityDAO and California Forever projects. I want to discuss less about these initiatives themselves, but more about my opinion of DAOs and the overarching concepts of decentralized autonomous organizations. So first, I've given you some details about CityDAO project, and I want to bring you up to speed about the current status. All right, I understand that CityDAO was hacked in January 2022 by someone in the Discord community. The project was hacked and members' funds were stolen. I know, you're wondering, I thought you said blockchain was unhackable. True, I did say that. And I believe it's really unfortunate that people who bought into CityDAO project lost their funds, and perhaps it soured maybe their enthusiasm about blockchain and the belief in its ability to provide support and secure these types of projects. I know many of you are wondering if this technology is ready for prime time, and that is primarily what I'm going to be discussing in this episode. But I did reach out to one of the organizers of CityDAO. I requested to interview him for this podcast. I wasn't able to connect with him. But the reason why I initiated the conversation was to find out more about his experience creating CityDAO, lessons learned from the hacking, and to find out more about his thoughts on the future of organizing DAOs. I wanted to hear it from somebody close to the project. But since I wasn't able to connect with him, here are my opinions. All right, so we know a CityDAO project was hacked. So perhaps you're thinking, I thought blockchain was unhackable. Let me address that first. How was it hacked? I believe it's important to analyze how it was hacked simply because it provides lessons and gives insight into how to prevent that from occurring in the future. One of the leaders in the organization explained the hacking as such. A scammer was able to compromise one of the accounts of the leaders of the organization and compromise his personal account, which gave a scammer access to the server and permission to assign tasks and send messages. It was sort of a sophisticated attack because he pretended that the leader of the organization was somehow disingenuous and had our ulterior motives with regards to everything. But you remember how I explained in the previous episode that some technologists may also remember that tokens were used as an authentication protocol. They weren't used to describe money, but tokens were used to actually describe authentication protocols. And the Discord token access, which was what we call a two-factor authentication process, allowed this scammer to gain access to his account and use his credentials and authorization to gain access to CityDAO servers. So the hacker hacked the blockchain. He had the credentials by bypassing this two-factor token access to the server. And once he got access to the server, he was able to do malicious things and transfer funds. If you remember our episode with Mr. Morale, he explained to us that we cannot lose access to those private keys. He mentioned also a tool called Metamask that will allow you to better control access to your private keys and protect assets before you approve any transactions and prevent any interaction with malicious contracts aimed to drain your wallet. This attack happened in 2021. So without going into much more technical detail, I believe that the technology has evolved somewhat and that folks can use tools like MetaMask to ensure that they aren't just giving people blind access to, drain their digital wallets. The fact remains, though, that people need to, however, question the transaction and be discerning and fully aware when it comes to transactions that are occurring via blockchain. So that is how the attack happened on CityDAO servers. All right, so why do I think that blockchain technology is still secure? We'll go into that in a little bit. But let me just address the second aspect of this project, which is decentralization. Yeah, so decentralization is key because you remember I told you the state of Wyoming passed a law legally recognizing DAOs as long as they are registered as companies in the state. In July 2021, the state of Wyoming passed that law legally recognizing DAOs as long as they were registered. All right, so that is a key aspect of decentralization. DAOs are blockchain-based entities where there is no central leadership, where members can vote on the group's direction and decisions with tokens are based on a specific set of rules that are enforced on blockchain. So I know many of you may say, well, how is it truly an autonomous organization if it's still requiring that the DAO be registered as a company in the state? We know that once you're registered with the state, there are certain policies that govern the way entities must interact. And it primarily has to do with paying taxes. Yeah, I know that big tax word. But it's decentralized from the aspect that the state of Wyoming recognizes it as a DAO and recognizes that it has no central leadership and that members vote and that there's a specific set of rules that are enforced on blockchain and that the technology is pretty much the rule with this decentralized organization. Though we are saying that decentralization means it's totally operating as its own autonomous organization, it's still within the confines of U.S. governmental structures. Now, Wyoming laws are favorable to businesses, which is why several companies decide to incorporate there because they do have favorable business laws. But the fact is that they are still governed by state rules. And I believe this is a good thing. I believe it's good because I believe that government is needed to promote the general welfare of its citizens and provides an avenue in case there is an introduction of things that infringe upon our rights. And the way that we interact, whether it be through technology or any other ways, we still need governments to be able to ensure inalienable rights. I believe we still need that. So it's a bit encouraging to me that it has the best of both worlds. It's encouraging because it recognizes this decentralized process of the DAO within confines of the, state governmental structures. So yes, it's decentralized to the degree that, it's totally autonomous from the way that it operates on blockchain. And still having it registered through the government is a way to recognize these DAOs, but still have an avenue for protecting ourselves, what I call checks and balances. I still believe in the DAOs because I believe that DAOs offer an opportunity to organize via technology that's still pretty solid. I believe that blockchain technology is a good foundation for DAOs. And the reason I do is because even though these attacks have happened and we say that blockchain is unhackable, there are lessons that have been learned, and we've progressed to a point where I believe that we can implement things that make blockchain more secure, with making our wallets more secure so that people aren't as vulnerable to these, financial losses. Those tools that I mentioned, like Metamask, will help alleviate some of that, help prevent some of those type of attacks and help you to manage your private keys. That way people aren't getting access to your funds, that are in your digital wallet. Blockchain is still very solid. Here are some examples. Community empowerment organizations. So building a community organization, it could be something as simple as a homeowners association where people in the community have voting power. They can use peer-to-peer transactions for payments. I believe it would be empowering to have consensus and transparency without having to jump through a bunch of hoops to do it. I believe this is for organizations that promote inclusion and equity and formed for the greater good of society. But the one thing I will say is that I don't know about people creating their own cities as a method of separating themselves or separating haves from have-nots, or for people who are forming these DAOs that have obvious malicious intention. I do believe that it's a powerful way to organize for things that benefit society and move things forward. So if you have a community organization that wants to enable things like purchasing land to build a community garden, or to implement things that are going to further progress society forward, to like cleaner water, cleaner air, tracking levels of our carbonization. We want to do decarbonization. We want to have communities empowered to do positive things, and having the ability to fund these type of projects and it be a private way, a secure way. And you have these voting things that are executed on the blockchain where everybody who is voted into this community empowerment organization will be able to transact with one another, I think is a positive thing. All right. Now, so blockchain is still a solid way of securing peer-to-peer transactions and a way to do it without the need for extra fees from institutions, and it's private. So smart contracts, that peer-to-peer contracts that you want to do with people, you're able to protect your personal assets. I know that people use trust and all these sophisticated ways to protect themselves so that their personal assets are private and that people cannot come after them or their personal assets because of a disagreement. Well, blockchain offers an avenue to do that as well. I believe blockchain is still a solid way of securing peer-to-peer transactions and smart contracts so that your personal assets are protected without the need for unnecessary disclosure of things that, would make your assets or make yourself more vulnerable to other people. But Web3 is still offering some incredible technological solutions for a variety of use cases. If we open up our creativity, open ourselves to what these solutions could be, there are different ways that we can do that. So not just community empowerment organizations. If you want to champion causes, it's a wonderful way to garner support from the community. Suppose you want to champion a cause that somehow influence the way that things are done from a government perspective. Maybe you want to champion a cause for health in terms of cancer. You can fund the research. You can have people that are interested in that cause communicate with one another in a secure way and vote on different things that they believe are going to benefit their community and move it forward in a positive way. These are all encouraging ways that decentralized autonomous organizations can be implemented. So what are your thoughts about DAOs? What are your thoughts about city formation? California Forever and CityDAO, what are your concerns about that? What do you think about blockchain technology being able to support these? But it does give us access to creating our own future and being able to, communicate with each other and build processes that will make our society better. So those are my thoughts about DAOs and why I think they're important and why I think that they're creative in a viable avenue for furthering the future of community and technology together. Let me know what your thoughts are about this technology. All right, this ends the podcast for 2024. I cannot believe that we are approaching 2025. It's been an awesome journey. I am very grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in to these episodes. It's been such a joy to present these episodes and to give you my humble opinion about technology. I hope to see you in 2025. I am Krystal Curry. Take care.